Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Recently, we of course have seen several sort of mini updates or stealth updates go live in MW2 and Warzone 2. We've covered some of the changes that those have brought to the game in recent days. However, it's been discovered that some unintentional things have changed in game. One of them is definitely disappointing. The other one, though, teases a very significant change for Warzone 2 gameplay. Also, on top of that, Call of Duty has talked a bit more about the various crashing issues, and we got some huge news overnight for the future of Call of Duty. So let's start first with the disappointing broken aspect of some of these recent mini updates, if you want to call them that. So a few weeks back, we of course got the sort of delayed update of seeing our stats in multiplayer. Yes, stats were not a thing at launch, and we still don't have stats available in Warzone 2, but in multiplayer, we have our sort of combat record, our bare minimum combat record, if you will. Well, it turns out that after some testing, players have found that stats are not correctly tracking in this game, specifically when it comes to win-loss. As you know, if you join into a game that's already begun in Call of Duty, if you lose that game, you should get a loss stat prevented because you didn't get to start that game with your team. You didn't get the full match to play it out. You shouldn't be punished for joining into potentially a losing team and losing that game. So, you know, previously in all other Call of Duties, if you joined in late and you lost, that loss does not count. If you won, though, that win counted. This year, though, the loss stat prevented system doesn't work. If you join in late to a game and you lose, it still gives you the loss, even though it says that that loss is not going to count. So, a completely broken system there. Stats not tracking correctly. Just a bummer in general that we got the stats finally after launch, which shouldn't be a thing in my opinion. And then when we do finally get the stats, they're not as accurate as they need to be. And who knows what the ETA is for the Warzone stats as well. So bit of a disappointing update there that was found. However, a less disappointing update has to do directly with Warzone 2. As we know, a very controversial topic this year is the loadout drops. Back in Warzone 1, loadout drops were what made Warzone stand out from every other battle royale on the market. Loadout drops were obviously what everyone aimed to get every single game. You had a couple of free options in the first zone and the fifth zone. You could go to a buy station and buy your full-on loadout drop there. They were super easy to access. They were readily available for everyone at all skill levels. But then they decided to change things up this year for Warzone 2 and obviously lock the full loadout drop behind the free drop that takes place anytime, I think, after the second zone, and the strongholds, which not everyone always goes to or even knows about apparently. And then you can only buy your primary weapon through the buy station, so you can't get your perks. You have to buy multiple weapons if you want like that overkill feel, stuff like that. So obviously it's been a controversial take so far. Should there be loadout drops? Should there not be loadout drops? Well, it seems like they could potentially be returning as a standard feature in the buy station, because recently players have actually had the loadout drop marker appear in their buy station only for $2,000, which makes it one of the cheapest things in the buy station. So if it were to return, I don't think it would be that cheap. It would probably be, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 like back in Warzone 1. But now they have actually shown up in the buy stations for various players as a part of a glitch. But this only started happening after the most recent stealth updates and mini updates, meaning this was likely being play tested and accidentally made it into the full version of the game as, part of the new game code, but it's not readily available for everyone. It's just a simple bug that's showing up, but it is teasing that potentially in the future we could see this actually return as an option, which I think a lot of players would like. People play Warzone to have that Call of Duty battle royale feel, especially if we get resurgence in the future, which has been confirmed as we've talked about recently. I feel like this new loadout system would not allow resurgence to play like resurgence has played previously. So potentially some changes are going to happen to that system. Of course, when that stuff does end up happening, if it ends up happening, I'll have you guys covered with that alongside all the other news and updates, the leaks that come out for it. Of course, also the best class setups, loadouts, tips, everything to keep you guys up to date with MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. So if you want to guarantee you're always in the know, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, because around 60% of viewers watching are not already subscribed. So if that's you, would love to have you join the family. Also, if you guys enjoy this video, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be really appreciated. Let's try and aim for 2,500 likes on this one. Moving on, we have been talking a lot recently about the crashing and stability issues, especially for PC, because Call of Duty has talked about that specifically a few times. And just actually yesterday, Beenox ended up putting out a new update to this. They are still currently investigating PC issues and have fixes coming with the mid-season update according to the Trello board, but Beenox did update everyone by saying a considerable amount of the MW2 and WARZONE 2 crash reports that they see on PC are because of older drivers. So they encourage everyone on PC to make sure you're running the newest or the recommended GPU drivers, as they actually drastically improve the stability of the game. So if you're on an NVIDIA graphics card, they want you to be on 526.86 or newer, and if you're on AMD, 22.9.1 or newer, and that should help out at least with some of the crashes, not every single one, but it should limit you to a far less frequent amount. And then, as I mentioned, overnight we got some very interesting news for the future of Call of Duty. As you guys know, over the past, several months or so, Activision and Microsoft have had their whole situation going on. Basically, Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision Blizzard and the various IPs that they develop. Call of Duty, all the mobile games as well, Candy Crush, stuff like that. And keep in mind, this is not a done deal yet. I do still see comments now and then asking, why is PlayStation getting exclusive stuff if Microsoft owns Activision? This deal is not finalized yet. It still has to pass various things. I think their target date was summer of 2023, so we still have a ways to go in this, including it passing like an FTC regulation thing that's coming up here soon. But Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, ended up tweeting out overnight saying Microsoft has entered into a 10-year commitment to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo following the merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King. Microsoft is committed to helping bring more games to more people however they choose to play. He's also pleased to confirm that Microsoft has committed to continue to offer Call of Duty on Steam simultaneously to Xbox after they've closed the merger with Activision Blizzard King. They also ended up saying in a different tweet that they are happy to, offer Sony the same 10-year commitment to bring Call of Duty to PlayStation with no exclusivity whatsoever. The same game releasing on the same day for all platforms. This, though, with the addition of them bringing it to the Nintendo, would be absolutely huge. Now, what they've said is that it wouldn't necessarily be like the mobile version of games. It would be the same game you're playing on PlayStation, the same game you're playing on PC, the same game you're playing on Xbox on Nintendo Switch. Now, would it look the same as what you're playing on PlayStation or Xbox or PC? Probably not. Would it run as smoothly as on your Xbox and PlayStation and PC? Probably not. We'll have to see what new Nintendo Switch options come out in the future, but just the fact that Xbox is already committed to bringing COD to Nintendo would be massively expansive for the franchise itself. From that point on, they could also even try the mobile games on Nintendo Switch as well, with Warzone Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile alongside the premium titles as well, with Warzone, with MW2, Black Ops Gulf War, whatever the future games are going to be. This would be huge news, but keep in mind, this would only happen if the merger with Microsoft and Activision Blizzard were to happen. Right now, what's standing in the way is PlayStation, because they are so worried about Microsoft taking exclusivity over Call of Duty and over these large IPs that Activision has. Despite the fact that Xbox has repeatedly said they are not going to, bring Call of Duty as an exclusive game, at least for this 10-year commitment, which, let's be real here. How much more does Call of Duty have? Could Call of Duty last another 20 years? 30 years, right? So at some point you're gonna hit a wall. A 10-year commitment is a huge window, in my opinion, that I feel like, keep in mind, I know nothing about the business end of the stuff, but I feel like that's a pretty generous offer and a pretty generous commitment to saying we're not going to make this exclusive. And I think it's especially funny that PlayStation is so hard pressed about this exclusivity, because they're the ones that for the past several years have had all the exclusivity for Call of Duty, with the XP events, with the early access to the beta, with all these other bonus items that aren't available on PC or Xbox. Sony's held the exclusivity, and they're so worried, despite the confirmations that Xbox doesn't want to make it exclusive, that they would. It seems very hypocritical. Now, keep in mind, making a whole game exclusive to a platform versus, a couple of bonus items and weapons and a few early days of beta access really aren't on the same level, right? So there is, a large scale there that one is much more important than the other, but still, it does seem kind of funny that they're so hard pressed about that. Either way, we don't know how this is going to end. There's still a lot of things that have to be passed and a lot of, regulations that this has to go through before Microsoft can actually purchase Activision Blizzard. But if it happens, based off of what we know right now, it does look like it would be absolutely huge for Call of Duty in specific, not to mention just, Microsoft overall, but this franchise in specific could see some massive benefits from this merger taking place. That being said, that is effectively going to wrap things up for today. Some very interesting news all around between Call of Duty as a whole and what's going on in MW2 and Warzone 2 right now. But if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you are new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button so you can guarantee you are always up to date with all things going on in COD, news, updates, class setups, tips, you name it, you're going to find it right here. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code WhosImmortal for a discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products, and the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.